All right. So there's not any kind of crazy max exodus of players from what I can tell in looking through the transfer portal lists. Everybody has a lot of guys leaving, but doesn't seem like Florida State has anybody of consequence. I'm looking at Marvin Jones, obviously. He seems to be the best player headed to the exit.
It's gonna be a young team, and they talked about that in the press conferences as well. Like pretty much anybody that's an upperclassman is hitting the bricks. Patrick Payton, one of the last ones to kind of hold out, but yeah, the thing is, this was a pretty senior led team. Like your whole line, they're all these red shirt COVID year seniors. They're all the majority of those guys are all wiped out. Your two big defensive tackles, they went to the NFL, and then you get to the transfers. All the guys that were part of this building from high school and building the program, yeah, that backbone's all leaving. Jackson West, tight end. Jarrell Pyers, tight end. Brian Courtney, tight end. Darion Williamson, 17th year wide receiver. The guy they call Boots, Lamont Green Jr., defensive end, gone. Julian Ormella, the legacy, third or fourth year offensive line, was a blue chip from that 22 class. Just never got on the field except for to save the flag. So shout out to Julian Ormella for snatching that Florida Gator flag out of there before you hit the bricks. Destin Hill, a guy that took 2 years to get to campus, but just a freak athlete. Somebody FSC was super excited. Held a scholarship for him for 2 years while he got his things private life squared away. Gets here, gets hurt at the beginning. Or I can't even remember. Was it camp? He doesn't even think he made it to a game. Anyways, he gets hurt, and now here you go. He's sitting in the portal. Omar Graham Jr., the linebacker who started the year off playing 50 snaps and not recording a single stat, which is like, it's got to be some kind of record for college football. It was insane. 50 snaps, nothing. Not an assisted tackle, not a holding, nothing. But he ended up getting better. This one was a kind of surprise. He could have been kind of like something to build around in the linebacker room. He hit the bricks. Amarion Cooper's a guy who went to Colorado and came back. Started as a true freshman, showed a lot of promise. Like a lot of these guys that Mike Norvell and Fuller and Atkins brought in, they showed show a little something as a freshman, but they're worse as seniors. Guys like Robert Scott, who played his butt off his whole career, but could never get healthy because they could never afford to take him out of the game. So he never got to really develop. That's kind of an indictment of that previous staff, of course. But you mentioned Marvin Jones Jr. I mentioned Luke Cromahawk earlier. You look at your defensive end, Byron Turner Jr. is probably your most promising defensive end on your roster. He's out of here. Tomiwa Durajaye, the kid that came in last year, for whatever reason, he's got all the size and ability. He didn't get on the field. I don't know exactly what was going on. He wasn't good enough, didn't translate or what. But, yeah, kind of the core of what have been this next team, it's out. Like, there isn't going to be much left. It's going to be bare bones, a lot of true freshmen and true sophomores. I mean, your Hakeem Williams, your Micah Hydanzis, hopefully, Wayne McCoy, people like that.
What do you think the chances are that Norvell and company get into the portal here and grab somebody that's going to ignite the fan base, that's going to get people excited, whether that's some kind of playmaking wide receiver, it's the next version of Keon Coleman kind of guy, Jared Verse, somebody of that, just to kind of be a lightning rod or a guy that everybody rallies around as being a team leader, a superstar that can kind of be the core of the team?
I don't know. I would have liked to have thought that, and I wonder how the team feels about it, to be more surprised if they can land Castellanos, but obviously that ain't going to do it for the fan base. There's the defensive end, James Williams, who's a rising star, the guy who's so enamored with Terrence Knighton and so close with him. Like, a lot of people think he's going to come. That'll be a big boost in the arm if he can commit. There's the wide receiver that everybody in the world's after, Reggie Virgil, but I don't. Again, in the position they're in, those particular guys, like you mentioned, the absolute stars. Like, it's one thing to sell going from 7-8 wins or 10-win season to a playoff competitor, 2 wins to get those guys. It's going to be tough, to answer your question. I think the most important thing is kind of the guys like Marcellus Marshall from UCF, offensive lineman. I guess Princely. I'm not even going to try and say his last name. Unamelion. You know that one? You got an Ole Miss
Oh yeah,
channel.
I know exactly who you're talking about, but it's almost like the Tennessee quarterback. If I haven't said it for a day or two, then I forget how to say it.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull that together. I'll let you know here in about 2 minutes when I figure it out. Ooh, yeah, I'm going to look at it. Yeah, I know exactly. They've got like 4 brothers. Like I got tripped up because we were going through the transfer portal the other day, and I thought that dude already plays for Ole Miss. Why? And I kept checking the year to see. No, this is top 2025. What? All these other guys are in the portal. Why is this last year's? Who is this? Oh, it's his brother. And then I find out he's got like 4 brothers, and they all have the same name, pretty close to the same name.
Yeah,
Prince.
it's a tough one. It's a tough one too. Uh, I'm not gonna try it again. But yeah, if they could land that one, which the insiders are insiders, quote unquote insiders, if you look at On Three and things of that nature, they're trending towards Ole Miss, I think, with their crystal balls. But I know for a fact there are some FSU people that are pretty confident there. We'll see. It's a tougher sell, but there's a lot of hype around that defensive staff. Hopefully they can get him in there. I think that would qualify. And another one that just popped in my head, the wide receiver, former 5-star wide receiver, Deuce Robinson, son of Florida State legacy Dominic Robinson. If they could get something going there and get him, that could be one that really kind of rattles the ground. If you're to believe Gus, there's some really elite guys that are super interested in Florida State, but he also said he didn't steal those calls, or they didn't have the calls in the first half of the national championships. We know that's a lie. So
Okay, I've got the letters formed in my head. I'm almost certain this is it. Uman Mielen. I think that's how he pronounces his last name. Uman
okay.
Mielen.
I think
So you got
I
Princely, you
left
got
the third
Princewell.
consonant got me. I left that one out.
Yeah. Yeah, Deuce Robinson, that guy can play. I watch a lot of USC football, and he's a nightmare mismatch. Don't look at his stats. He doesn't have great stats. I think he caught about 25 to 30 passes. But my goodness, throwing the tape against really anybody. Look up his best games statistically. Yeah, he's a guy that he's got the build of a tight end, but you can line him up out wide and he'll be a mismatch. The one consideration I would say, in terms of, I totally get your point and totally agree that, wow, this is tough to sell to a superstar, but there's a ton of respect and love for Tony White on the defensive side of the ball. And there's obviously, I don't want to discount the love for Gus Malzahn. I think it's more respect for what he's accomplished, and obviously being a former head coach who's played, taking a team to a national championship game. That you've got weight at the offensive and defensive coordinator positions that hardly anybody in the nation has.
For sure. And it's going to help you. I think, and that's what's exciting about it. I think there's just certain positions, there's super shiny things that, the quarterback,
Sure.
the senior wide receiver, a young kid like Deuce who's already, and they can see the future. They can be a part of building it back and getting back, like James Williams, some of these other different people. I totally get it. And there's going to be plenty of people like maybe top ranked offensive line from the JUCO level, from the FCS level, et cetera, that are going to be all in to jump in. I think the most important thing about this class, and something that really stood out, somebody put up, a meme basically making fun of us. They showed Luke Kromenhawk, the number 1 transfer portal quarterback, and they showed, Castellanos is like the 12th or whatever. We fell down that hole of looking at, we got 10 blue chips out of the transfer portal, and it was all these young guys from Alabama or Georgia that were transferring. Well, they hadn't done anything on the field, but we thought they were this and that. We really believed it. That they had the blue chips. Well, turns out when you're getting guys out of the portal, the most important thing is just proven ability to do it, regardless of whatever level they are they on, or they playing snaps and going out there and executing. And that's what I'm looking for Florida State to go get this year. And uh, again, hopefully we start to get some guys to pop. There's a tight end, Terrence Carter, that they're after, that I think Mike Norvell was comparing him to Jaheim Bell from last year. So plenty of guys out there.